welcome to the Webcast for Wednesday, March 19th. I'm South Ops meteorologist Jonathan O'Brien. Skies are mostly sunny early this morning as weak high pressure builds into the region, and we have a very nice day ahead across central and southern California. Along with the building high pressure, we have some light offshore flow this morning, and that's going to be with us over Southern California through early this afternoon. Here's a look at the latest wind observations with the wind gust values shown in red. Expect local east to northeast winds of 10 to 20 miles per hour with gusts to 30 miles per hour, locally a little higher, to continue across the mountains and canyons through early this afternoon. And with time, these winds will probably become most focused across the east wind-prone corridors of Riverside and San Diego counties. Water vapor satellite shows that we do have a pretty robust trough approaching the west coast this morning, but it's further north than several recent systems that have brought rain to the region, and as a result, it's not going to be much of a factor for us. Showers with some light wetting rains are likely for Northern California this evening, but our region will remain mostly dry, with perhaps a few light rain or snow showers maybe as far south as Yosemite. Otherwise, as weak ridging builds in south of that trough, we'll see some warming today, with temperatures rising near to slightly above seasonable values, with the valleys and high deserts in the mid-60s to mid-70s. And this will mark the start of a stretch of generally seasonable and uneventful weather that will last through Saturday. There will be little change in temperatures through then, probably some slight additional warming over Southern California Friday and Saturday, as warmer valleys start to approach the 80-degree mark by then. Minimum humidity will be mainly in the 20 to 40% range the next few days, lower in the deserts and higher in the Sierra and Sierra foothills. However, with the light offshore flow today will probably be a little drier in portions of Southern California, more in the 15 to 30% range. Winds from Thursday through Saturday will be more onshore overall, but they will be light and primarily local and terrain-driven. Our next weather changes will be later this weekend and early next week as that ridge of high pressure strengthens over the west coast, and that's going to bring a big warm-up to the region as spring starts on a warm note. Here's a look at the forecast highs by Monday. We'll see 80s to even near 90 over the warmer valleys of Southern California. Minimum humidity will likely fall a little bit, especially by Monday and Tuesday, more into the 12 to 25% range. Winds will remain light, and we may start to see some light offshore breezes once again in the mountains and canyons, which will contribute to that warming. By the middle and end of next week, uncertainty starts to increase, but it is likely the strong ridge will weaken and shift off to the east as troughing over the Pacific tries to push its way in. The main question is how much influence that Pacific troughing will have by later next week and beyond. At a minimum, it should bring cooler temperatures and an increase in onshore flow, but there are some indications the troughing may be far enough south and strong enough to bring additional rain to the region. You can see signs of that here in the latest 8 to 14-day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. So don't count on our unseasonably warm stretch lasting very long, as winter is probably not done with us quite yet. Dead fuel moistures will be on sharp drying trends, especially by this weekend and early next week as the much warmer and drier pattern settles in. So burning conditions should be favorable in many cases as we dry out from our recent wet weather stretch. Ventilation and dispersion conditions will tend to deteriorate with time in the lower elevations as the air mass becomes more stagnant under high pressure. Meanwhile, the warmer and drier weather will help bring continued green up and live fuel moisture increases to the region. Our soils are very moist at the moment, and the sunny and warmer weather will allow the plants to take advantage of that excess moisture. So overall, we're seeing many of the things we expect to see this time of year, ups and downs in the weather, and a pretty typical progression of the growing season despite the very dry start to the winter. There will remain little or no fire activity through the forecast period given the moist soils and rising live fuel moistures, and will likely make it at least through most of April and more likely into May before we get into grass curing season and fire potential begins to increase. That's it for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. The next one will be on Friday, March 21st.